Subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications so you don't miss the next videos. The battlefield was silent for a brief moment, the kind of silence that precedes destruction. Flames danced among the wreckage, the air smelled of iron and dust, and the sun hid behind a thick veil of smoke. At the center of it all, Himawari was on her knees, her body covered in wounds, her chakra almost non-existent. Her breathing was uneven, her eyes half closed, but determination still burned within them, a stubborn flame that refused to die out. She had fought to her limit. Against Jura, the being molded by the residual will of the Jubi, a monster of pure malevolent energy, a fusion of instinct and hatred. His original form was already terrifying, but now something was changing. Jura rose slowly, his body covered with pulsating black veins. Chakra poured from him in violent waves, tearing the ground and distorting the air around him. His eyes, once red, now became an amalgam of black and gold, as if chaos itself had possessed him. Useless.
All of you!
His voice thundered. Did you think you could stop me? I am the legacy of the Jubi itself. I am the final evolution of chakra. He stretched his hands toward the sky and the air began to vibrate. From the earth, columns of energy rose, and the chakra of the Jubi, long sealed deep within the world, answered the call. A monstrous aura surrounded Jura, transforming his body. The tails began to form, but they were not normal tails. They were chains of living chakra, constantly shifting. Himawari tried to stand, but her legs gave way. The ground around her trembled. Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sarada were far away, fallen, exhausted. None of them had the strength left to react. Dust covered their faces, and the distant sound of Jura's breathing was like the growl of a beast reborn. Then the attack came. Jura moved his arm with a simple gesture, and a colossal beam of chakra was launched toward Himawari. It was fast, devastating, leaving no room to escape. The young Uzumaki simply closed her eyes, her body unable to react. But a shadow passed in front of her. Himawari! The voice cut through the chaos. Boruto. He ran with all the strength he had left, crossing the ruined field. In the last second, he threw himself in front of the attack, arms spread wide. The impact was deafening. The explosion hurled him back, but he remained standing, eyes half open, his face covered in blood and dust. The beam had torn through the ground, leaving a gigantic crater, and Boruto was there, unmoving, protecting his sister. Jura smiled, a cold, arrogant, satisfied smile. You sacrificed what was left of yourself, for nothing. But then, the world changed. The wind stopped. The flames bent, and an indescribable pressure filled the air. A low sound like a distant roar began to echo inside Boruto's body. The ground beneath his feet started to crack in concentric patterns, emanating a soft blue light. Himawari lifted her gaze, her tearful eyes reflecting the glow that began to bloom around her brother. The chakra of Kurama, but not the same as before. Not that wild red chakra made of rage and destruction. This was different. Blue, pure, serene. A chakra that seemed to reflect not fury, but the spirit of protection. A will born not from the beast, but from the bond. Boruto felt the warmth in his chest. The karma seal shone for an instant and then vanished, as if purified. The marks began to spread across his body, but instead of black, they were lines of bluish light, pulsing like veins of living energy. Kurama's voice echoed inside him, deep, calm, almost paternal. Boruto, this is my true power, the one I could never show. The purified essence of the beast's chakra. Born from sacrifice, not fury. The air vibrated. The blue chakra expanded, forming a halo of energy around the young Uzumaki's body. His eyes became a shimmering blue, like the glow of the sea under the moon. His hair, now lightly floating, seemed to shine with the same hue. Jura frowned. For an instant, he hesitated. This is impossible. The fox's chakra was never like this. Boruto raised his gaze. The wind spun in blue spirals around him, and for a brief second, time seemed to stop.
You made a mistake, Jura.
You touched the one thing I would never let be destroyed. He charged. The ground cracked beneath his feet. His body moved at pure speed, disappearing and reappearing in front of the enemy. Jura tried to react, but Boruto was already upon him, his fist wrapped in condensed chakra. The first blow struck his abdomen, but the force was such that the air exploded around them, creating a shockwave that swept everything within kilometers. Jura was hurled into distant mountains, crashing through rocks and ruins. The blue chakra still crackled in the air, like restrained lightning. Boruto gave no time. In the blink of an eye, he was there again. With every movement, the chakra formed ancient symbols in the air, luminous seals that rotated in sync with his gestures. Kurama's power, now harmonized with his own chakra and the Uzumaki clan's legacy, pulsed steadily, almost divinely. "What is this?" Jura roared in rage. "You are human! You shouldn't be able to control something like this." Boruto only answered with a serene gaze. "I don't control this power." "It trusts me," Jura roared. His body expanded, releasing dense black chakra. The chains around him turned into grotesque tails, and eyes began to open all over his skin, reflections of the Jubi's essence. He raised his arms, and the sky tore apart, revealing a vortex of energy. From above, a black sphere began to form, a colossal Bijudama capable of erasing everything in its path. Himawari tried to scream, but Boruto raised his hand. "I know. Leave it to me." He closed his eyes for a moment. The blue chakra gathered around his right arm, spinning in perfect spirals. The characteristic sound of the Rasengan echoed, but now it was different, soft and deep. The chakra seemed to sing. The spirals grew, becoming gigantic, and the glow became so intense it illuminated the darkened sky. Jura launched his black sphere. Boruto leapt toward it. The impact was devastating. The clash of opposite energies, chaos and purity, hatred and protection, created an explosion that engulfed the horizon. Waves of energy swept everything away, the ground disintegrated, the air distorted. But in the center of the storm, a blue light remained. Boruto cut through the darkness. Kurama's chakra shaped itself around him, taking the spectral form of a celestial blue fox, with serene eyes and a protective expression. The figure roared, not in fury but in restrained power. Boruto thrust the Rasengan forward, shouting with all the strength of his soul, "Odama! Rasengan!" The blow struck Jura directly in the chest. Time seemed to stop. For an instant, the entire world fell silent. Then, the enemy's body began to dissolve, piece by piece, like ashes carried by the wind. His voice echoed one last time, "The blue chakra of the fox." And he vanished. The explosion ceased. The sky brightened again. The blue chakra dispersed slowly, like glowing dust floating through the air. Boruto fell to his knees, gasping, his body covered in fading energy marks. Himawari crawled toward him, tears in her eyes. "Oni-chan." He smiled, tired but at peace. "It's all right now." Behind them, the wind carried fragments of blue light, the last trace of Kurama's purified power. And for the first time since the beginning of that war, the shinobi world could breathe again. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications so you don't miss the next videos.